Hi everyone, if you feel weak in the area of Trigo addition formula, or you're feeling like, oh man, I can't really recall the formulas, this is the right video for you. Now, to make things easy for you, there are three general types of Trigo questions that require the addition formula. Type number 1, the evaluate questions. Type number 2, solving questions. And type number 3, the proving questions. So let's check them out right now. For this question, we are given that sine A is equals to 3 over 5 and that A lies in the first quadrant. So without using the calculator, we are going to evaluate sine A minus 30 degrees. Now the very first thing that you can do is to draw out or to identify where A lies, and in this case, it is in the first quadrant. So recall that the ratio sign is opposite over hypotenuse, therefore we have 3 over here and 5, and the adjacent will be square root 25 minus 9, which gives us a value of 4. Now at this point, it is always very useful to find what are the values of the other Trigo ratios. So namely, cosine A is 4 over 5, tangent A, which is opposite over adjacent, is equals to 3 over 4. Whenever you see such a question, do approach it like this so that you can find the various Trigo ratios and fit all these values back into the question. So for part A, we have sine A minus 30 degrees, and this is a clear indication that we must use the addition formula because in the angle over here, you see two terms, A minus 30 degrees. So let's employ the sine addition formula right now, which is sine A plus B equals to sine A cosine B plus cosine A sine B. Now in your textbook, you will also see the other formula of sine addition formula, which is sine A minus B equals to sine A cosine B minus cosine A sine B, which is a mouthful. Now instead of memorizing these two lines, we are going to condense them into one line to give us sine A plus minus B is equals to, now you realize that the two parts over here are the same. So we are going to write sine A cosine B here and cosine A sine B. Now what's going to be in the middle of these two terms will be plus minus, similar to the term in front over here, which is A plus minus B. Therefore, in the middle, we will put plus minus as well. So I hope that this will help you memorize it or remember it better for the sine addition formula. Now coming back to the first part of the question, we have sine A cosine 30 minus cosine A sine 30. If sine addition formula, there's a minus here, we are also going to put a minus here. So let's try and substitute sine A, which has a value of 3 over 5 over here. And cosine 30 is a special angle. Now I always encourage everyone to memorize the special angle, the Trigo special angle. Alright, cosine 30 gives us a value of square root 3 over 2 minus cosine A. You see that the steps that we did earlier was useful. We can take the value of cosine A, which is 4 over 5, and put it over here in the question. And sine 30, which is also a special angle, is equals to half. Simplifying them, we will have 3 square root 3 over 10 minus 4 over 10, which gives us a value of 3 square root 3 minus 4 over 10. Now this is the exact value for part A. Now let's try to evaluate part B as well, which is cosine A plus 60 degrees. Now similar to the first part, there are two cosine addition formula that you must know. So let's try and condense them together to give us cosine A plus minus B equals to, now in the cosine addition formula, the cosine ratio comes first. So it is cosine A cosine B, and cosine is like a naughty student. So instead of plus minus, it is the opposite. It will be minus plus, followed by sine A sine B. So just memorize one line over here instead of two. Let's try to expand part B, which is cosine A cosine 60 degrees. You see a plus here. So now we are going to write minus sine A sine 60 degrees. Now, substituting the values that we have found earlier, Cosine A is 4 over 5, and cosine 60 is a special angle as well, so it gives us a value of half minus 3 over 5, and sine 60 is also a special angle, so it gives us square root 3 over 2. Always memorize the special angle. Wherever you go, when you're brushing your teeth or when you're on your journey to school, memorize the special angle so that it can benefit you in doing such questions. Alright, simplifying, we will have 4 over 10 minus 3 square root 3 over 10, which gives us an exact value of 4 minus 3 square root 3 over 10. Now moving on to part C, this involves the addition formula for tangent. Again, we are going to combine the two tangent addition formulas into one, which gives us tangent A plus minus tangent B. You realize that the sine over here follows the sine over here. Alright, but the sign in the denominator is the opposite. So over 1 minus plus tangent A multiplied by tangent B. For part C, we can expand it as such. It is equals to tangent A plus tangent 45 degrees over 1 minus tangent A tangent 45 degrees. Now, if you have memorized your special angle again, very quickly, you can get tangent 45 as 1. Alright, so tangent A we have found earlier is 3 over 4. So plus 1 over 1 minus tangent A, which is 3 over 4 multiplied by 1. Simplifying, we will have 7 over 4 divided by 1 over 4, and this gives us a nice value of 7. Now another evaluate kind of questions will go something like this. It is very common in the O levels. Now without using the calculator, evaluate tangent 75 degrees. Now, this is not very straightforward because we couldn't really see two angles inside here, which makes up 75. But what we can do is to split 75 into 45 degrees and 30 degrees. This will be related to the Trigo special angle. Making use of your tangent addition formula, we have tangent 45 plus tangent 30 over 1 minus tangent 45 tangent 30. Now tangent 45 is 1, tangent 30 is square root 3 over 3, and we're going to divide it by 1 minus 1 multiplied by square root 3 over 3. Now it is at this point that we need to simplify this fraction. So what we can do is to put 3 plus square root 3 over 3 divided by 3 minus square root 3 over 3. I have simplified the denominator and placed it over here. Simplifying further, we can cancel out the value 3 over here. We will then have 3 plus square root 3 over 3 minus square root 3. Now for me, this is not enough. We can simplify this much more by multiplying the conjugate surd at the denominator and at the numerator. This will rationalize the denominator so that the denominator will not have any square root. So let's check this out. We can multiply 3 plus square root 3 on both the top and bottom of the fraction. And this will give us 3 square plus 2 multiplied by 3 square root 3 plus 3. This comes from the formula a square plus 2ab plus b square over 3 square minus 3, which came from the formula a square minus b square is equals to a plus b, a minus b. Simplifying, we will then have 12 plus 6 square root 3 over 6. We can divide the terms in the numerator by 6 to give us 2 plus square root 3. So there you have it. This is the exact value of tangent 75 degrees. Now the next type of questions will be those that involve solving or finding the value of x in an equation. So it goes something like this. Find all the angles between 0 degrees and 360 degrees which satisfy the following equation. Now we have sine x plus 45 degrees equals to 2 sine x. You realize that in both sides of the equations, the angles are different. So our objective when we solve a Trigo equation is to ensure that the angles are the same first before we evaluate further. Alright, so let's try to use the addition formula again because you have two terms over here, x plus 45 degrees. And this will give us sine x cosine 45 plus cosine x sine 45 equals to 2 sine x. Now the special angle comes into play again. So we have cosine 45 is square root 2 over 2 multiplied by sine x plus square root 2 over 2 cosine x. At the same time, I'm going to bring over minus 2 sine x over here, and it is equals to 0. The reason is that I want to group similar trigo ratios together so that we can ensure that the equation has only one trigo ratio later on. And I'm going to bring over cosine x to the right hand side, minus square root 2 over 2 cosine x. Now, if we are solving a trigo equation, we must ensure that the trigo ratio is the same and the angles are the same. But for this case, the trigo ratios are different. On the left hand side, it is a sine, and on the right hand side is a cosine. So we can change the trigo ratio into a tangent by dividing cosine x on both sides of the equation. So doing so, we will have tangent x, and at the same time, I'm going to divide square root 2 minus 2 as well on the right hand side. It will give us minus square root 2 over 2 divided by square root 2 minus 4 over 2. Now tangent x will then be equals to minus square root 2 over 2 multiplied by 2 over square root 2 minus 4, which gives us a value of minus square root 2 over square root 2 minus 4. Now some students are quite confused over here, but not to worry, this is just but a number. So use your calculator to evaluate this. Tangent x is equals to 0.54692. I'm going to put 5 decimal place over here so that we can ensure the accuracy of our answers. Alright, so this is the part where we can kick in the 5 steps of solving a trigo equation. The first step is to ensure that the trigo ratio is on the left hand side. All the numbers are on the right hand side. Check the domain of x. Tangent x has the domain 0 less than x less than 360. So the angles are the same. We need not amend the domain. The next step is to find the basic angle, which is tangent inverse positive 0.54692, which gives us 28.68 degrees. Identify the quadrants next. This tangent x is a positive value, so x lies in the first or the third quadrant. To solve for the value of x, we will then have 28.68, 180 plus 28.68. Now the answer will then be 28.7 degrees and 208.7 degrees rounded to 1 decimal place. If you need more practice for such questions, do check out the free practice questions and worked answers that are linked in the description box below. We're going to move on to the last type of question, which is the proving kind of questions. Alright, so prove that sine A plus B over cosine A cosine B is equals to tangent A plus tangent B. Now when we prove a trigo function, ensure that you start off with the more complicated side. For this case, we can identify the left hand side as the more complicated one. So we can start off by using the addition formula to expand sine A plus B. So on the left hand side, we will have sine A cosine B plus cosine A sine B over cosine A cosine B. Now some students are stuck at what to do next over here. Firstly, look at the angle first. We have A sine A on top, cosine A at the denominator. So what we can do is to take sine A divided by cosine A to give us tangent A. And cosine B can be divided by cosine B to give us a value of 1. Alright, put a plus here and look at the next term. Cosine A can also be divided by cosine A, which gives us a value of 1. And sine B divided by cosine B gives us tangent B. It is here that you can see that it is forming towards the right hand side. So we can then put it as equals to tangent A plus tangent B, which is equals to the right hand side. And don't forget to write the word proved. So there you have it. These are the 3 types of questions that involve the trigo addition formula. In summary, instead of storing 6 formulas in your mind, condense them into 3 so that you can remember them better. And don't stop at these questions. Check out the free practice questions below. Do hit the like button or the subscribe button so that you can see more valuable content such as this. Thank you so much for watching.